I'm Dani Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I am joined today by Scott Gruendl, who is the Assistant Director of the San Mateo County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. That's always a mouthful for me to say. Scott, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we're here today to talk about mental health and mental illness in San Mateo County. I think for a lot of people, we may say, well, where is it? And what's the spectrum? So talk about our state of mental health in San Mateo County first.
Sure. Here in San Mateo County, approximately 1 in every 4 individuals will experience some form of mental illness, and there's a pretty broad spectrum of mental illness. We traditionally refer to it as the mild, the moderate, and the severely mentally ill. And here in San Mateo, we're one of the few counties in the state of California that actually provides comprehensive services across all 3 of those populations in the spectrum. Typically, mild and moderate are divided from the severely mentally ill, or the SMI population. This population has traditionally been served by county mental health departments. But here in San Mateo, we serve the entire spectrum. We really do see it as a road to recovery, that mental illness is something that you can manage. It is also something that you can recover from. And so here in San Mateo, we work extensively with the community, but more importantly with families,
right?
To give families the tools they need to get their family members back on track.
Can you give us some, I don't know if I'm using the right word, like diagnosis, or we hear about on the TV all the time about depression, or we hear about anxiety, or we hear about drug-induced mental illness. I mean, how does that fall in the spectrum of what you're talking about, from moderate to severe? What are these words that we're hearing?
So depression is very common, so that would be more of a mild to moderate type of diagnosis that you would see in that particular population, whereas people are hearing voices, that type of thing, is something that you would see more as a severely mentally ill population. So you would think of it this way. Individuals who just need to see a therapist from time to time, that's a mild type of population. Folks that need to see a therapist, see a psychiatrist, and have some level of case management, that's more of a severely mentally ill type of diagnosis. Okay.
So one that perhaps needs more than just therapy, it's a prescriptive, chemical kind of resolution.
Well, right. Yeah, there may be medication used in the treatment, as well as talk therapy. You and I sitting down and talking through some interventions.
So what I'm hearing you say is, depending or no matter what part of the spectrum you're falling in, the sort of moderate to severe, the county is providing mental health services to someone falling in any of those spectrums.
Right. Because people will move. They don't necessarily stay in one part of the spectrum. And we want them to move to the least restrictive type of setting and or part of the population as possible. So we really do want to move the severely mentally ill individuals to more of a moderate to mild type of illness, because when we do that, they're successful and the community is successful and families get to be families again.
Right. Do you see populations increasing because we're now becoming more aware and we're talking about things, I think, more readily today than we did? I remember generations past, no one talked about mental illness because it was hush-hush. You didn't want anybody to know in your family that there might be somebody suffering from depression, etc. So is it growing because of knowledge, or?
Yeah, there's been a significant effort, especially here in the state of California, to address stigma and discrimination associated with mental illness. In fact, there was a huge campaign over the last year or 2 addressing specifically stigma in the community and discrimination. And I think that really has given folks the platform in which it's okay, it's safer to talk about mental illness. It used to be, I would be on a job interview panel and nobody would mention anything about mental illness. Now today, I could have somebody applying for something at mental health where every candidate speaks to the fact that they either know someone, have a family member, or they themselves are experiencing some level of mental illness. That would be unheard of 5 years ago.
Right. So you have a program that is the Assisted Outpatient Treatment Program. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So the Board of Supervisors back in the summer of 2015, at the request of several members of the community, decided to pursue what is more commonly known as Laura's Law. And this is a State Assembly Bill 1421. And what happened was there was an incident in Nevada County in which an individual who should have been in treatment but was not became very dangerous and actually ended up killing an individual who happened to be a receptionist at a mental health facility in Nevada County, and her name was Laura. So this became known as Laura's Law. Now, Laura's Law, when it was first implemented, was really seen as a forced treatment type of program. So many counties in California were very reluctant to pursue it. But over time, the state legislature made some changes to the law, and it's really seen as an option. In fact, the Board of Supervisors here in San Mateo County, I thought, did a fantastic job in how they began the program, which was they really see this as yet one more tool that the county can make available to San Mateo County families that just need another resource, because we find that individuals that belong to families who need a higher level of treatment, as they become older, it becomes more difficult for family members to be able to encourage them to seek treatment.
Right.
It may be just more difficult to manage the individuals all the way around. So this is really seen as a gap filler or a falling through the cracks type of program. And we really are now reaching out and serving individuals in the community that are predominantly referred to us from family members. In fact, just recently we're up to about 80 or so folks that have been referred to us in this program, and more than half of those are referred to us by families. And then next are clinicians, therapists in the community, followed by about 10% out of the, so like 45% and 45% are families and therapists, and the remaining 10%, about half of those are coming from police, referrals from police, and the other half are referrals from hospitals.
Well, I'm glad to know that the majority of folks that are finding this assisted outpatient treatment program are either referring themselves, or they're finding it themselves, or a family member is telling them about the program. That does tell me that we are reducing the stigma of behavioral health and mental illness. And then I think you're telling me the other resources are referrals from physicians and law enforcement. It's so wonderful to see that you have this collaborative effort from all sides of the public spectrum to get people to the program. How do I know if I know of someone that might need the program? And then if I do, what if the individual is just not willing to accept it themselves, or think that they do have an issue?
So that's the crux of the program.
Right.
Really what it's all about is, assisted outpatient treatment or assertive outpatient treatment means we're providing treatment to an individual who's not in a locked facility,
right,
so they remain in the community.
Which is the best case scenario to
right,
get someone in a, an alternative program.
Exactly, because we want them in the lowest level of care, because
right,
they're more likely to be successful when they're in their own community,
right,
living in their own home or with their family. In fact,
in control.
Yeah, in fact, a third of our referred clients actually live in the homes of their families.
Right.
And so we want the lowest level of care, keep them in the community. So we have a team. We have a team with a social worker, a psychologist, a manager, and several peer workers. In other words, people who have lived experience and have been through similar circumstances.
Right.
Work with the family, work with the individual to make sure that they're compliant with their treatment, encourage them to stay the course on the treatment. Should they not do that, then this program does afford an opportunity for us to go before a judge, a local judge, petition that the judge order this individual to seek treatment.
Right.
So it
so
comes
if you
with
had to, and at the end of the day, it's about having the most successful opportunity for the individual. In the
That's
family.
correct.
So we are out of time, but how can someone watching this program get a hold of someone within the department?
Sure. There's a couple ways folks can reach us. They can call us at our phone number, which is
it'll be on the
displayed
screen.
on
Yep.
the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, the 372-6125, as well as they could also email us at aot@smcgov.org.
Okay, and we'll also put that on the screen so anyone can just look you up and say, hey, do I know someone or am I someone that could benefit from this program?
Right, we do have very clear criteria on how a person is eligible. You have to be 18 years of age or older. You have to have had in the last 3 years 2 or more incidents of incarceration and hospitalization, and in the last 2 years, some incident that was dangerous or was a danger to others and appeared to be deteriorating. Those are the basic criteria we look at.
And I know you refer to other resources if they don't qualify.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you so much, Scott, for joining us, and we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.